Good afternoon, everybody out there in sober land. This is Todd Crandall, founder of Racing for Recovery, and I'm here with one Patrick, who is an awesome human being. And I'm glad you're on this today. How you doing, buddy?
I'm glad to be here. I'm doing well.
We were just talking right before we started rolling about how you introduce yourself at the Racing for Recovery support group meetings, and then you reading the closing poem. And you said you've had some people that are commenting on that. What are they saying, and how do you feel about that? You're good.
Sorry. Flattered, at first, because I'm not, I compliments kind of, I don't know, they're hard to take, but I kind of go into how it's taken me, some time to repair, to have confidence again, and, actually feel good with myself enough to stand up and, read the poem. And it really, it's come a long way, and I feel that with myself, like growing and becoming uncomfortable. It's cool. I appreciate, someone coming up and giving me a compliment and saying, "Hey, I really like how you do that." I was like, okay, thank you. Got that from you. Thank you. And
good night. Right? I mean, I like that we're talking about this right off the bat. You had a good buddy of yours, Eric, that did his. You were talking about you watched it last night, and I cut you off because I wanted to hear you talk about it here as opposed to off camera. What did watching Eric, what did that do for you as his friend, as a peer in recovery, as a human being? What did it do?
He's a really big inspiration to light my fire, to keep me pushing to that next level, because I don't have many friends. I have a core group that I found are inspiring, and Eric's one of those dudes that will shoot me straight, and no matter what it is, in the gym and stuff like that. So him and I were watching his podcast last night, and afterwards I was like, all jokes aside, you're a true inspiration, and him and I, we've had some serious, deep talks about life. He's like my one-on-one, and we talk about our past, but we also talk about the future more than anything, because the past is the past. My mindset and where I'm at now, and what I'm doing with my life now, as opposed to how I was in my addiction, is way beyond anything I thought possible. And with having someone like him so close, that I can bounce these crazy thoughts off off of him, and and he hits me right back. He's like, "I'm glad that you're here for me," and so we have that bond, and then it goes into funny jokes and razzing each other. That's
right, and that's what we do.
Exactly.
If I had to think of one word that would describe you, I would say it's courage. Just listening to you for a couple minutes when we started rolling, and I'm not minimizing this in the least, I know how hard this stuff is for you. I asked you to do this a week ago, and we joke a lot, but you know me well enough too. I take this stuff very seriously.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't do something to you that I think would be detrimental. But when I asked you about it last week, I'm like, man, this poor guy's going to be pondering this for a week now, And I thought, well, I better do it then than just to throw him on the spur of the moment and do it. But
Absolutely.
Irregardless of that, the courage that I've watched you display over, well, it's almost been 2 years since I've known you. It's awesome, man. I mean, I know how hard some of this stuff is for you, but yet you do it. And I want to know, like, are you even aware that you're exhibiting courage? And if so, how does that feel?
That's tough and deep. It goes there. You've seen me, trying, and trying to find me and what, trying to just find something, because I have found, I found Racing for Recovery, and so it's been this journey of how I can adapt to this lifestyle and have it work for me. And so when it comes to courage, I don't recognize it. That's how I've always been. I kind of just do what needs to be done for me, and then somewhere along the line, I lost it. I lost it in a bottle. I lost it with self-destruction. And so, especially after I got back from Yellowstone, I really buckled down inside and shut up and listened, because I knew what I wanted. I knew I needed to be sober in order to live a solid future, solid life, full of honesty and, mindfulness and everything that Racing for Recovery is about. And so, I formed a routine, and, over some time, by doing the same thing and having goals and having this desire, by doing the same thing and wanting to be that person, that's who I'm becoming. And, I don't notice, I kind of just keep my head down and do what's good in my heart, because I actually feel it now. And that's the weird thing that, when people give me compliments or stuff like that, I'm just doing, and I'm working on it, because this is a work in progress, and it's a great journey up to right now. And it's like, okay, so I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and it's like, so I'm here with you, and what's next? And that's the beauty of it. That's when I get excited, and that's where the passion comes in, because of where I'm at right now and what I've done over the past year. It's like, okay, let's get some more stuff going here. If I didn't mean to sidestep your question at all. Sorry.
You know what? The more I'm used to sitting on that side, and I get asked a lot of the same questions. This is a piece of cake sitting over here, because all I have to do is listen to you for a couple minutes, and I have like 15 different questions that are going in my head. You make this easy,
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that I have inside that I do keep to myself, because I do cherish and value what I'm doing. I don't display it all like, hey, look at me, because it's not a popularity contest to me. And, it's like, and I think that's what changed me when I came back from Yellowstone. I was like, I've been popular, it's like, that's not who I am now, and it's weird to even talk like that, because of, that's when, my eyes start to water up, because it's like, let's keep going. Let's keep grabbing at stuff that, some may be, obtainable, but let's set those far goals and become that person who can achieve those.
So I want to ask you this. You've mentioned Yellowstone twice, and I was going to work this in somehow. We had a discussion like this when we used to do a kind of a live stream interview type thing, which was good. This is awesome. The folks that we have doing this stuff now are amazing.
Absolutely.
Artists and whatever they do aesthetically and visually with all of our stuff. What do you think you could have done to prevent Yellowstone being what it was? Like, I'm reflecting back when we were talking before and you were about to head out there. Is there something you wished either I or Racing for Recovery would have said or done to help maybe get you to look at that decision differently? And in that, going out there and figuring out on your own, what is the takeaway of that has helped you coming back?
I think the beauty of it is that you and everybody here, the core staff, you guys were like, "That's awesome. Go live your life. Yeah. Send it."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I sent it at the wrong time, where I was in my sobriety and in life in general, because. And I think, if you remember me saying this, is that I was prepared for everything, but I was prepared for nothing.
Yes. Because
there was nothing to keep me grounded. There was no cell service. There was, it wasn't, I wasn't on point with what I was getting myself into other than adventure. And that's kind of what has always gotten me into trouble is, oh, that's a great idea, let's do it. Yep. And that's fine and dandy, but when you factor in addiction and demons and crap like that, it doesn't pan out. It's never panned out in my favor. And that's where I'm at today, because I've actually realized that, before, I need to rein my shit in, so to speak, because adventure's great, but if I don't address certain things that are the core problem, then it's all bets are off.
So would you do that same journey again if you had a do-over exactly where you were before? Would you do it again, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now, I would have done things a lot differently, because it was a great opportunity. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But I would have done a little more prep work rather than, hey, I'm packing my bags and catching a bus type deal. But now that's not even, where I'm at today, that's not even a vision, I'm done running. I'm done kind of escaping and running away from problems. That was my MO,
So let's talk about, there's a theme to a lot of the people that I've interviewed on our show here. And you talked about this initially. It never ceases to amaze me. The awesome people that are around here have such difficulties with just hearing kindness. And we talked about it last night. That was the topic of our meeting last night, was kindness. And how when somebody just says a kind thing to any one of us, it's like, well, I don't know how to handle that. How are you learning through being around Racing for Recovery? How are you learning just to accept Patrick as yourself and being okay with who you are?
To be honest?
No, I want you to lie.
I take a lot of notes from you, because as I pay a lot of attention to you. You're very inspirational as far as myself, you know, and how I am, you know, like little things you say, you know, and you said something, you know, along what we're talking about, and you were saying, you know, someone said thank you, and you went into a whole thing of, you know, it was a big deal, and now you just say,
you're welcome.
You're welcome. And, you know, that's kind of another thing that I'm working on is dealing with compliments and stuff like that.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
You kind of flipped the script on me a little bit there.
Sorry.
And the whole time I'm like, you better practice what you preach with this, you know? So I appreciate you saying that. And this is another common thing that I find in here that I don't think people coming around really fully get that. And I understand it because it's the lack of self-worth. Inspiration is given and received by everybody here every day. It's not one-sided. You know, like we started off talking, I'm inspired by watching you standing up, introducing yourself in those meetings, and then reading our closing poem. That's been inspiring to me because I don't stand up. Rarely do I do that. So the whole motivation thing is given and received, and that's okay. But it is difficult just to simply say thank you or you're welcome or what have you.
Yeah.
You know. Let's talk about going to Maine.
Let's talk about going to Maine.
Right. You are such a routine guy, which is awesome. And it's interesting. Your buddy and my friend too, Eric, he's the one that really was talking about how hard that was for you to get out of a routine that I knew, but I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
that trip, it was monumental in all sorts of ways possible.
Do tell.
Well, you know, I'd been back from Yellowstone for almost a month,
right.
I think at that time. And Mike came to me and he's like, what do you think about going to Maine? And I was like, oh, that's great. Have a good trip.
Typical response, right? Yeah.
You know, and that's where it began. You know, that's where getting uncomfortable and kind of, you know, it was, the key thing was the people that went.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it was, if it that was the perfect everything. You know, there was no, it was great, man. It was a change in my life for sure. Because little, you know, and that's the thing, it's like the little things that have helped me progress and, you know, and want to be a better person. It's not so much like a huge lightning strike type deal. It's the little things. I mean, the trip was huge, but it's the little things that happened within that trip that really made it key.
Do you have any on a humor level? Do you have anything that like sticks out of your mind that you were like laughing your ass off at that you want to share? Because Eric always does this, and I'm curious if we've never really talked about the funny stuff on that trip. I'm curious as to what you remember.
It was all funny. And this is kind of on a serious note, but I'm fascinated with sharks.
I know where this is going, right? Yeah.
And there was your little hang up of swimming in an ocean.
Yep.
On the East Coast where there's great whites and tiger sharks. And now, is that a funny matter? No, but I kind of had to make it a little humorous because it is serious. And I understand the fear because that's kind of why I'm fascinated with them is the fear. But I mean, it was all smiles, you know, it was one of those things when we were driving back and AC/DC's Thunderstruck was playing and I was just playing all the good moments, you know, everything. And I was like, man, if I had a camera, that would have been one hell of a documentary to put together, you know, because I was a piece of it, because of how it was for me. And I'm just rocking out, looking out the window, and you look back from the front seat and you're like, yeah. and it was pretty much at that moment I was like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, this is what my life is going to entail. This is what I want out of sobriety. This is the life and the fun and all the good, you know, all the good stuff that can happen.
So let's talk about this, because I'm trying to put my mind in somebody that's watching these podcasts, and there's a couple of common themes. And one is we laugh and we do stuff. And to some people, they may look at this and go, really? That's what these guys are doing? You know, they laugh and they go on trips and all these other things. I thought sobriety is a very serious thing. It is. Mm-hmm. But having said that, I think a lot of people miss out on what really sobriety is. And it is having fun. It is building relationships. It's doing things in recovery. It's not just about not using. And so many people think, oh, I'm going to go to treatment for 30 days. I'm going to come out and everything's going to be good. Mm-hmm. And I think you need your money back if that's all you got, because it's way more than that. So I want to talk about, without, you know, I don't want you to name any names, but previous places you've been and what that, I guess, the mindset or the culture was like, and what the results were in that culture, and how being at Racing for Recovery, how our culture is different that has helped you.
Well, here's the big thing of what sets this on a totally different level, is that life is encouraged here. And by life, I mean smiles, cries, laughter, and hugs. And it's something that I never experienced with, you know, the previous attempts at a sober life. And, you know, it's really one of those things that needs to be out there, you know, and it is, and yeah. We are, and it basically the simplest way that I can put it is, you know, other places, other programs, you know, they tell you not to do this, not to do that, not to do 100 different things. And maybe you'll be sober. Maybe you'll have a life in sobriety. And here, don't use, live life, and have fun, and build your life, and it's okay. And that's where I found it, because I was never able to, you know, build and figure out who sober Patrick is, because it was always constricted. It was always do this, do that, and the other. Well, here it's like, just don't freaking use. Do some work, which won't be work, and build whatever kind of future you want to build.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about some of the times I made these attempts to get sober back in my day. I'm like, what if somebody just said what you just said right there to me back then? Would it have made a difference? I don't know the answer to that, but I know you just hit it right on the head. That's why I left that traditional way of doing it. Just hearing you speak, I'm like, that's what Racing for Recovery does. That's what we do.
Right.
It's the exact opposite of, you can't, you know, do it this way or you're going to fail. It's like, that's the type of mindset we already have as individuals coming into treatment.
Right.
I want to hear you can. What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? That something positive in a world that has been full of just negativity for decades for people like us. People in society, let alone most treatment agencies, don't understand the impact of how crappy we feel for so long. But when you come in and you hear something positive that's different, it's almost it's like a head scratch, like, what? I never have to use again? And the more you don't use, you start to really believe in, yeah, I don't have to use again. Right? What are some of the things that you still need to work on to keep being a better version of your awesome self?
There is a lot of work. I feel it's a lot of work, and that's part of where I'm at now. Is I, still have, problems with selling myself short. Confidence and, everything is slowly coming about. I'm able to deal with these things. Patience is a big one that I will never, have. But, the learning and understanding and everything like that, it's really, I think the biggest thing for me is to just cut the crap and realize that I am worth it. And that's kind of where I'm at now. Realizing that there's no shoe that's going to drop unless I drop it. And, it's not actually a burden of where I'm at today anymore. Sobriety doesn't have to be crap. And I'm getting there, man. I really, I'm working on becoming uncomfortable, hence, whatever. But, there's a lot of different things that I'm doing and that I have done over the past, year. And it's molding me into future Patrick, which is key. And I watch a lot of motivational stuff online and I pull certain things from it. And it's like I'm actually, as time has gone on, it's like the fog is kind of lifting and it's like, okay, so let's really think about 3 years from now rather than 3 weeks, and it's weird to think like that because I was never like that. I was always
right now.
Yep, let's go. And that's comforting and also frightening because it really, it's like, what? It's like, holy crap. So, and this is stuff that I haven't even voiced, but to one person. But, it's like I'm building that foundation that, we speak of in the IOP rooms and you speak of, and it's slowly getting stronger, and that's where patience and everything like that and everything that is kind of taught around here, that it's like build that foundation, get it strong, and then add a brick, and then maybe that brick isn't meant to be over there, let's put it over here. If that makes any sense. I feel like I'm rambling.
No, you're good. What is have you started the CDCA process, getting your license? Okay. What do you think of the new gym? I mean, we're almost done with it. How do you like it?
Man, it is it is something. That's another thing, because 2 months ago it was just we were just talking about it. Right. And people who know me know that the gym kind of, I latched onto that when I came back from Yellowstone. It's like, I was in it before, but when I moved back and I was 140 pounds and broke down, like never before, that saved me. And, you know, one of your staff members here, I don't know if we're allowed to say
You can
names.
say that. Yeah.
Well, you know, AJ,
yeah.
he's probably not going to like this, but, you know, huge inspiration because there, it was, you know, and of course when I came back, it was open arms, you know, thank God you're back alive, and yeah, you're 140 pounds and you look like hell, but you're here. Let's welcome back. You know, some tears were shed, and I'm getting emotional right now. But so a couple weeks, you know, my head down, and I was working out with AJ, and I just happened to ask him, you know, about where he's at, you know, in the gym wise, and he's like, man, I've been working out for over 2.5 years at that point, you know, and now it's obviously longer, but that was another turning point in, you know, my mental state and looking towards the future. I was like, another switch got clicked, you know, and it was like, okay, there it is, you know. And then I think that, along with the main trip and, you know, a couple things early on that really made me realize that patience is okay, that it's okay to listen, it's okay to just be me and do me, so to speak. And it really, then it was on. You know, I started learning more about physical fitness, and now it's now with the gym and how it is now. That I can't wait until it gets even.
We're close.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a huge, that, you know, because I can't physically run. So I needed that outlet, you know, because of my background. I needed that, you know, that little extra tweak to get those endorphins going, to get that adrenaline going, to get that push that I've always seeked, you know. And so getting in the gym, finding my core dudes who I learned from, and now just so happens we all live together, we work out together. That's our jam. Granted, they're a lot bigger than I am, but yeah, that is what it is. But you know, it's a push, it's camaraderie, and yeah, I mean,
it's good.
I could go on and on and on about that all day. But
let's do this. I want to do. We're gonna do some one-offs. I'm gonna say a word. You give me a word what it means back. I've never done this before,
yeah, this
so we'll
is
see how many things we can do here. So I'll start with, when I say racing for recovery, give me one word.
Hope.
Eric Donati.
Inspiring.
AC/DC.
Thunderstruck.
Travel.
Has to happen.
Opportunity.
Drive.
Courage.
Emotion.
Perseverance.
Heart.
Education.
Extremely important.
Faith.
Mindfulness.
Compassion.
Love.
Success.
Inevitable.
That was good. That was good.
It's getting hot.
Right. God, you got me stumped with that one. The Beatles.
Great.
Last one. The future.
Bright.
What is one thing in closing that you want to say to the guy who's just put down his drink and has no clue on what to do. Talk to that guy who's watching right now.
It's kind of funny because I was thinking about that this morning. And as we kind of hit on it earlier, is, you know, if someone was to stumble across this,
which they will. Absolutely.
I mean, the biggest thing for me, if I was, you know, like even when I talk to the newer people that I'm fortunate to kind of get serious with, and you know, you're worth it, because that's a big thing on where I was. You know, I was like, it doesn't matter anymore. Screw it. But it's okay to grow without self-destruction. And, you know, no matter what has happened in the past, it's not your doing. It's okay to move on from certain things and seek help, you know, and let your guard down and grow without beating yourself up over bad decisions, because that was where I was at, in that deep hole of, let's build it up, let's break it down, let's build it up, let's break it down, let's build it up and break it down. And I just couldn't do it. I was so sick of doing that, you know, the easiest way out was to, you know, end up in the dirt. But there is hope. There is a solid future of sobriety out there if someone wants it. And that's, I think, the biggest thing for me, is that I didn't know how to go about it, you know, until I came in here and saw what was going on. And, you know, and it's worth it. It really is, to, you know, to be okay with who you are.
Dude, in closing, I want to say I'm proud of you, and I'm honored to know you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
In closing, to those of you that are watching this right now, I don't say this at every podcast, and I'm going to say it now, talking to Patrick, I think about this. Please share these. Send them to your local schools or newspapers or on your social media stuff. Please get the Racing for Recovery message out, because we want to reach as many people as we can. If you or a loved one is battling addiction or self-destructive behaviors, please contact us, 419-824-8462, and we're here to help you.
You're worth it.
Have a good day. You're worth it.